Have you ever made a decision you regretted almost instantly? Maybe it was a hasty purchase, a thoughtless comment, or a career move you wish you could take back. Now, imagine if that split-second choice altered not just your life, but the course of human history. Well, welcome to Esau's world. In one of the Bible's most dramatic moments, Esau, famished and fatigued, trades away his birthright, his spiritual and material inheritance, for a bowl of stew. In the ancient world, a birthright wasn't just a fancy title or a pat on the back. It was the golden ticket, the key to the kingdom, the whole enchilada. For the firstborn son, it meant a double portion of the family inheritance and, more importantly, the mantle of family leadership. In Esau's case, we're talking about the birthright of Abraham's blessing, a big deal, to put it mildly. This birthright carried with it the promise God had made to Abraham, that his descendants would become a great nation, inherit the land of Canaan, and bless all peoples on earth. It wasn't just about material wealth, it was a spiritual legacy of cosmic proportions. Imagine being told you're next in line to carry out God's master plan for humanity. That's the weight of this birthright. The value of the birthright went beyond the individual. It was about continuing a divine narrative, a story bigger than any one person. The firstborn son was expected to lead the family in worship, to be the spiritual head of the household. It was a position of great honor, but also great responsibility. Think of it as being the CEO of God's chosen family enterprise. In practical terms, the birthright meant economic security. The double portion of inheritance wasn't just about having more stuff. It was about having the resources to care for the extended family and maintain the family's social standing. In a world without social security or life insurance, this was crucial. The firstborn was essentially the family's safety net. The birthright also carried political implications. In many ancient Near Eastern cultures, the firstborn would often assume a leadership role, not just within the family, but within the larger community. They were seen as natural leaders, blessed by both age and divine favor. It was a position of influence that extended far beyond the family tent. There was also a prophetic aspect to the birthright. The firstborn was often seen as having a special connection to the divine, a conduit for God's blessings and messages. This spiritual authority was no small matter in a world where divine favor could mean the difference between prosperity and ruin. The birthright was more than just a personal asset. It was a sacred trust. The firstborn was expected to preserve and pass on the family's spiritual heritage to the next generation. It was about maintaining a continuous line of faith, stretching back to Abraham and forward into an unknown but divinely promised future. In Esau's case, the stakes were even higher. As the grandson of Abraham and the son of Isaac, he stood at a crucial juncture in salvation history. The birthright he held was not just about his immediate family, but about the future of God's covenant people. It was a pivotal role in a divine drama that would unfold over centuries. The value of this birthright was understood to be so great that it was typically inalienable. It couldn't be sold or transferred. That Esau would even consider trading it away speaks volumes about his character and priorities. It's a stark reminder of how easy it is to undervalue something of immense worth when we're focused on immediate gratification. In the end, understanding the value of the birthright is key to grasping the magnitude of Esau's decision. This wasn't just a bad business deal or a moment of poor judgment. It was a birthright exchange that would have biblical consequences rippling through history. It's a sobering reminder of how a single impulsive decision can alter not just a personal destiny, but the course of a divine plan. Picture this, a sweltering day in ancient Canaan. The air is thick with heat and the landscape shimmers under the unforgiving sun. It's the kind of day that makes you wonder if you've stumbled into an oven rather than the great outdoors. Enter Esau, returning from a hunting trip that's left him more drained than a water skin in the desert. Esau's not just tired, he's exhausted to his very bones, the kind of fatigue that makes your legs feel like they're made of lead and your thoughts as fuzzy as a week-old peach. It's in this state of extreme weariness that he stumbles into the family camp, his senses dulled and his judgment clouded by sheer exhaustion. The smell of something cooking wafts through the air, tantalizing and torturous. It's not just any meal, it's a pot of lentil stew that his brother Jacob has prepared. To Esau's famished senses, it might as well be ambrosia of the gods. The aroma seems to bypass his brain entirely and speak directly to his growling stomach. Now let's talk about Jacob for a moment. He's the homebody of the family, more comfortable tending pots than chasing prey. But don't let his domestic habits fool you. Jacob's got an eye for opportunity that's sharper than Esau's hunting spear. He sees his brother's state and a plan begins to form. The stage is set for a moment of impulsive decision-making that will echo through the ages. Esau, driven by physical need and short-term thinking, is about to face a test of values. Will he prioritize his immediate hunger or his long-term birthright? It's a classic battle between the urgent and the important, played out in a dusty tent millennia ago. The tension in the air is palpable. Esau's desperate need for sustenance, Jacob's calculating gaze, the steaming pot of stew between them. It's a scene ripe with potential for life-altering consequences. One can almost hear the cosmic drum roll as fate holds its breath, waiting to see how this moment will unfold. It's worth noting the contrast between the brothers at this moment. Esau, the skilled hunter, finds himself at the mercy of his physical needs. Jacob, often portrayed as the weaker of the two, holds all the cards. It's a reversal of roles that highlights how circumstances can suddenly shift the balance of power. The family dynamics at play add another layer of complexity to the scene. Isaac's preference for Esau and Rebekah's for Jacob have created an undercurrent of rivalry between the brothers. This simmering tension is about to come to a boil over a simple pot of stew. As Esau stands there, swaying with exhaustion and nearly delirious with hunger, the full weight of his birthright seems far away and intangible. In this moment, the future promises of God pale in comparison to the very real, very immediate promise of a hot meal. It's a stark illustration of how physical needs can overshadow spiritual priorities. The scene is set for a birthright exchange that will have biblical consequences far beyond this single moment. As Esau opens his mouth to speak, the fate of nations hangs in the balance. It's a reminder that sometimes the most pivotal moments in history don't arrive with fanfare, but sneak up on us in our moments of greatest weakness. The moment of truth arrives. Esau, driven to the brink by hunger and fatigue, utters those fateful words, "I'm about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" It's a statement that betrays a profound short-sightedness, a classic example of impulsive decision-making that will echo through the ages. In this pivotal moment, Esau's priorities are laid bare. The future promises bound up in his birthright suddenly seem worthless compared to the immediate satisfaction of a hot meal. It's as if all the weight and significance of his heritage evaporates in the steam rising from Jacob's stew pot. Jacob, seizing the moment, doesn't miss a beat. He demands an oath from Esau, formalizing the birthright exchange. It's a shrewd move, transforming a moment of weakness into a binding agreement. Esau, in his desperation, swears away his birthright without a second thought. The speed at which this transaction occurs is breathtaking. In the span of a few sentences, a destiny is altered, a divine plan is rerouted, and the course of biblical history is changed. It's a stark reminder of how quickly momentous decisions can be made when we're operating on impulse rather than principle. Esau's choice in this moment reveals a character flaw that will define him in biblical narrative. His inability to delay gratification, to see beyond his immediate needs, marks him as godless in later scriptural commentary. It's a harsh judgment for what might seem on the surface like a simple trade. The irony of the situation is palpable. Esau, the skilled hunter, falls prey to his own appetites. His strength, his ability to endure the rigors of the hunt, becomes the very thing that drives him to this moment of weakness. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of relying solely on our own strength. In this moment, Esau isn't just trading away a double portion of the family inheritance. He's casually discarding the covenant promises God made to Abraham, the divine blessings that were meant to flow through him to future generations. It's a birthright exchange of cosmic proportions. The contrast between the brothers is stark in this moment. Jacob, often portrayed as the weaker, more domesticated brother, shows a keen understanding of the birthright's value. Esau, the strong, skilled hunter, reveals a spiritual blindness that will cost him dearly. It's a reminder that true strength isn't always about physical prowess. As Esau gulps down the stew, satisfying his immediate hunger, he's oblivious to the long-term consequences of his actions. It's a vivid illustration of how the tyranny of the urgent can blind us to the truly important. In satisfying a temporary need, Esau creates a permanent deficit. The biblical consequences of this moment will ripple through generations. Esau's impulsive choice sets in motion a chain of events that will shape the destiny of nations. It's a sobering reminder that our decisions, especially in moments of weakness, can have far-reaching effects beyond what we can imagine. While Esau's impulsiveness takes center stage in this story, Jacob's role in this birthright exchange is equally compelling. His actions reveal a shrewd, calculating nature that's hard to ignore. Jacob doesn't just stumble into this situation, he orchestrates it with the precision of a chess grandmaster. Consider the timing. Jacob doesn't approach Esau with this offer on any ordinary day. He waits for the perfect moment when his brother is at his weakest, both physically and mentally. It's a display of patience and strategic thinking that contrasts sharply with Esau's impulsivity. The choice of payment is also telling. Jacob doesn't offer Esau silver, gold, or any other valuable commodity. He offers a pot of stew, something of immediate but fleeting value. It's a masterstroke of negotiation, trading something temporary for something permanent. Jacob's insistence on an oath is another demonstration of his cunning. He's not content with a casual agreement. He wants to make this birthright exchange as binding as possible. It shows a legal mindedness that's surprisingly sophisticated for the time. There's a certain irony in Jacob's actions. His name means supplanter, or one who grasps the heel, and in this moment, he lives up to it fully. He's grasping not just at Esau's heel, but at his entire future. It's a fulfillment of the prophecy given before their birth about the younger serving the older. Jacob's behavior here raises some ethical questions. Is he simply being opportunistic, or is there an element of divine providence at work? The Bible doesn't condemn Jacob for his actions here, which has led to centuries of debate about the morality of his cunning. The contrast between Jacob's long-term thinking and Esau's short-term focus is stark. While Esau can't see past his immediate hunger, Jacob is playing the long game. He understands the value of the birthright in a way that Esau, ironically the firstborn, does not. Jacob's actions here set the stage for his future behavior. This birthright exchange is just the first in a series of maneuvers that will see him secure both the birthright and the blessing. It's a pattern of behavior that will define much of his life. There's a certain shrewdness in Jacob's choice of payment. By offering food, he's exploiting a basic human need. It's as if he intuitively understands Maslow's hierarchy of needs millennia before it's articulated. He's trading on the fact that immediate physical needs can often overshadow long-term spiritual or social considerations. Ultimately, Jacob's cunning in this situation is a double-edged sword. While it secures him the birthright, it also sets in motion a series of events that will lead to years of exile and family strife. It's a reminder that even when our schemes succeed, they can have unintended biblical consequences that shape our lives in ways we never anticipated. The dust settles, the stew is consumed, and reality begins to sink in. Esau, his hunger satisfied, suddenly realizes the magnitude of what he's done. It's like waking up from a fever dream to find you've sold your house for a sandwich. The Bible tells us he despised his birthright, but one can imagine the creeping horror as the full implications of his impulsive decision-making dawn on him. Jacob, on the other hand, must have been riding high. In one fell swoop, he's secured his future and altered the course of his family's destiny. It's a coup of biblical proportions, achieved with nothing more than a pot of lentils and impeccable timing. One can almost picture the satisfied smirk on his face as he watches Esau walk away, birthright secured. The immediate family dynamic must have been tense, to say the least. Imagine the awkward silences at the dinner table, the sidelong glances, the unspoken recriminations. Esau, the former heir apparent, now reduced in status. Jacob, the schemer, elevated but perhaps not entirely comfortable in his new position. For Esau, the regret must have been immediate and intense. The Bible doesn't give us a play-by-play of his emotional state, but it's not hard to imagine. The shame of having traded away his heritage for a moment's satisfaction, the anger at Jacob's manipulation, the self-recrimination for his own weakness. It's a cocktail of negative emotions that would be hard for anyone to swallow. Jacob's gain, while significant, comes with its own set of challenges. He's now the heir to a promise he obtained through cunning rather than birthright. It's a position that, while coveted, might have left him feeling like an imposter. The weight of the birthright, so casually discarded by Esau, now rests squarely on Jacob's shoulders. The ripple effects of this birthright exchange would have been felt throughout the extended family and community. In a culture where the firstborn son held a position of honor and authority, this swap would have been shocking. It's likely that gossip and speculation ran rampant as people tried to make sense of this unprecedented turn of events. For Isaac and Rebekah, the parents caught in the middle of this fraternal drama, the aftermath must have been particularly difficult. Their family is now divided along new lines, with the divine promise they inherited from Abraham now set to flow through their younger son. It's a shift that will have far-reaching biblical consequences. In the immediate aftermath, we see the beginnings of a pattern that will define much of Genesis, the younger superseding the elder. It's a theme that challenges the cultural norms of the time and points to a God who doesn't always work in expected ways. For Esau, this moment marks the beginning of a long road of consequences. While he might have hoped to undo his rash decision, some choices once made can't be unmade. The writer of Hebrews would later use Esau as a cautionary tale, warning readers about the dangers of trading eternal rewards for temporary pleasures. In the grand scheme of biblical narrative, this moment serves as a turning point. The line of promise which should have run through Esau now flows through Jacob. It's a divine detour that will shape the story of God's people for generations to come, all stemming from one moment of weakness and one act of cunning. Perhaps the most immediate consequence is the shift in the line of promise. God's covenant with Abraham, intended to flow through the firstborn, now passes to Jacob. This rerouting of divine blessing sets the stage for the emergence of Israel as God's chosen people. It's a stark reminder that God's plans often unfold in unexpected ways, working even through human foibles and failures. The division between Esau and Jacob becomes the foundation for the long-standing conflict between the Edomites, Esau's descendants, and the Israelites, Jacob's descendants. What begins as a personal rift between brothers evolves into centuries of national rivalry. It's a sobering illustration of how personal choices can have generational impacts. Jacob's acquisition of the birthright sets in motion a series of events that lead to his eventual transformation into Israel, the father of the 12 tribes. His journey of deception, exile, and eventual reconciliation with God and his brother forms a central part of Genesis. Without this initial birthright exchange, the story of Israel might have looked very different. For Esau, the consequences are equally profound. His loss of the birthright is compounded by the loss of his father's blessing, leading to a life marked by bitterness and a legacy largely defined by what he gave up. The New Testament book of Hebrews uses Esau as a cautionary tale, warning against trading spiritual heritage for momentary gratification. The birthright exchange also plays a crucial role in demonstrating God's sovereign choice in election. The Apostle Paul in Romans 9 uses Jacob and Esau as examples of God's right to choose whom he will for his purposes. This theological point becomes a cornerstone in discussions of divine sovereignty and human free will. On a broader scale, this event contributes to a recurring theme in Scripture of the younger superseding the elder. From Abel and Seth to Joseph and his brothers, and ultimately to Jesus himself, God often chooses to work through those who are not first in line by human reckoning. It's a pattern that challenges cultural norms and showcases God's unexpected methods. The consequences of this decision extend even to the messianic lineage. Jesus, the promised Messiah, comes not through the line of Esau, but through Jacob. In this way, a moment of hunger and a bowl of stew become links in the chain, leading to the salvation of mankind. It's a powerful reminder of how God can use even our mistakes to further his ultimate plan. Geopolitically, the split between Jacob and Esau's descendants shapes much of the political landscape of the Old Testament. The Edomites become a constant thorn in Israel's side, a reminder of the broken brotherhood at their nation's roots. This strained relationship serves as a backdrop for many prophetic writings and historical narratives. Finally, the story of the birthright exchange serves as an enduring lesson on the importance of valuing our spiritual heritage. It stands as a warning against allowing momentary desires to override long-term promises and blessings. In this way, Esau's impulsive decision continues to speak to believers today, urging careful consideration of the eternal weight of our choices. The story of Esau's birthright exchange offers a timeless lesson in the perils of impulsive decision-making. In our fast-paced world, where instant gratification is often just a click away, Esau's choice serves as a sobering reminder of how short-term thinking can have long-term consequences. One key lesson we can draw from this ancient tale is the importance of understanding our own values and priorities. Esau's failure wasn't just in the moment of choice, but in his overall lack of appreciation for his birthright. In our own lives, taking time to clarify what truly matters to us can help us make better decisions when we're under pressure. Esau's story also highlights the danger of making decisions when we're in a state of physical or emotional distress. His extreme hunger clouded his judgment, leading to a choice he would later regret. This underscores the wisdom of the modern advice to never make important decisions when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Halt. The contrast between Jacob's long-term thinking and Esau's short-term focus offers another valuable lesson. In a world that often prioritizes immediate results, cultivating the ability to consider future consequences is more crucial than ever. It's about developing what psychologists call temporal discounting, the ability to value future rewards over present ones. Esau's impulsive choice also serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of undervaluing our birthrights, be they our talents, opportunities, or spiritual heritage. In our pursuit of immediate satisfactions, we might be trading away something of far greater value. It's a call to carefully consider what we might be giving up in our quest for instant gratification. The biblical consequences of Esau's decision remind us that our choices don't just affect us individually. They can impact our families, communities, and even future generations. This perspective can help us approach decision-making with a greater sense of responsibility and consideration for others. Esau's regret after the fact points to another crucial lesson: the importance of pausing before making significant decisions. In today's world, where we're often expected to react quickly, intentionally creating space for reflection can be a powerful antidote to impulsive choices. The story also illustrates the potential for others to take advantage of our moments of weakness. Jacob's opportunistic behavior serves as a reminder to be wary of making important decisions under pressure or manipulation. It's okay to take a step back and say, "I need time to think about this." For those who have made Esau-like decisions, the biblical narrative offers hope. While Esau couldn't reclaim his birthright, his story doesn't end in total ruin. This suggests that even after significant mistakes, there's potential for redemption and a meaningful life. It's never too late to learn from past impulsiveness and make wiser choices going forward. Finally, Esau's story encourages us to cultivate spiritual discernment in our decision-making process. By grounding our choices in a larger framework of values and faith, we're better equipped to navigate life's complexities and avoid trading our birthright for a momentary bowl of stew. As we wrap up our exploration of Esau's fateful decision, let's consider how this ancient story can reshape our modern choices. Esau's moment of weakness isn't just a cautionary tale. It's a call to action for each of us to examine our own decision-making processes. Ask yourself, what birthrights in your life might you be undervaluing? Where are you prone to making impulsive decisions that could have long-term consequences? Remember, awareness is the first step toward change. Now here's a challenge for you. In the comments below, share one area of your life where you're committed to making more thoughtful, less impulsive decisions. Your insight could be the inspiration someone else needs to avoid their own Esau moment. Speaking of inspiration, do you sometimes feel overwhelmed by the pace of life, struggling to make wise choices in the heat of the moment? You're not alone. Many of us grapple with balancing immediate needs and long-term values. But here's some good news. There's a resource that can help. In the comments, you'll find our ebook, 30 Habits to Draw Closer to God. This isn't just another self-help guide. It's a practical roadmap designed to help you develop the kind of spiritual discernment that could have changed Esau's fate and can transform your decision-making process. Imagine approaching life's choices with clarity, wisdom, and a deep sense of your true priorities. Picture the peace and confidence that comes from knowing you're making decisions aligned with your values and God's will. This ebook offers clear, actionable steps to cultivate the kind of spiritual insight that can prevent life-altering mistakes. The transformation you're seeking is within reach. Check out 30 Habits to Draw Closer to God now in the comments and start your journey toward more intentional, wise living. Remember, every choice is an opportunity to affirm your values and shape your future. Don't miss out on more inspiring biblical insights like this. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay updated on our latest videos. And hey, why keep this wisdom to yourself? Share this video with someone who could use a reminder about the power of thoughtful decision-making. Until next time, remember, we all face our bowl of stew moments. But with wisdom, awareness, and spiritual grounding, we can make choices that honor our birthright and lead to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Keep choosing wisely.